to learn how to choose the right spear gun? Let's do it. Choosing the right spear gun, whether it's your first spear gun or you're like me, it's your 10th spear gun, it can be somewhat daunting. There's a lot of options out there, a lot of different setups. You know, how many bands you need, how big of a shaft do you need? Do you really need this, or do you need a reel? Maybe I can help out with that a little bit today. Really, you want to look at, you know, your budget, how much you're going to be actually using the gun, where you're going to be diving, what type of species you're normally going to be encountering. Really, the first thing you're going to look at is budget. A good example of an entry-level, budget-friendly gun that's still really good quality would be something like the Yuma Fast. Reason for that is you're still going to have a high-end muzzle with a magnet in it to help with reloading. It's going to be the same muzzle and same handle as our, you know, a little bit higher grade Cherokee line. This is going to feature a 26mm barrel instead of a standard 28. And the reason is for that is because it's going to be a little bit easier to handle, a little bit easier to maneuver. You are still going to have the flat spot on the bottom, like our Cherokee line, on the bottom of the barrel, which helps keep the barrel really rigid, especially under higher loads. But with that 26mm barrel, you won't be able to upgrade the gun, make it as powerful as some of the other guns in the Cressy line. Also, you're going to have a little bit of a different style handle. You know, it's got the plastic casing. All the load-bearing components on the inside of the trigger are still stainless steel, so you're not compromised on that. But some of the other pieces on it are just not stainless steel like they are on the other products that we offer. And you're not going to have as nice of a loading butt and as nice of a handle. Now, with that being said, this is still a very high quality gun for the price that you can get it at. Another option would be a pneumatic. The pneumatics pack a lot of punch for their size. They're a great quality gun, pretty easy to use. The only issue that I would say with this is the maintenance. They can require a little bit more maintenance than your standard band gun, but when they are working, they're very, very high quality guns. They're great for hole hunting and shallow water diving. They're very maneuverable, easy to move around. So this is also a great option for that budget-friendly, high quality gun. Moving up in the budget, you're going to be looking at, you know, the Cherokee EXO, the Cherokee Fast, the Cherokee Power. And these are going to have some of the same features as the Yuma. They are going to have a bigger, thicker 28mm barrel, and then the upgraded Cherokee handle. You can see it's a full stainless steel housing for the trigger mech. The trigger pull mechanism itself is stainless steel, a little bit upgraded safety here, a better loading butt, a little bit higher quality handle. You know, this is going to be a little bit higher. The next thing I always say you look at is how much you're going to be using the gun. I understand budget is a factor, but if it's a gun that you're going to be using a lot, if you're going to be using it, you know, once a week, twice a month, multiple times a week, I would always recommend spending a little bit extra money to go to something like this or like these options, because it's going to make it more enjoyable and the gun's going to be able to withstand that use a little bit better, especially in the trigger mech and the handle area. And also with these guns, yes, they're a little bit more of an investment in the beginning, but you do have a few more options with them in terms of upgrading them with their power, the size of the shaft, the size of the bands going forward in the future. So if you are able to spend a little bit more money, I always recommend going with something that's a little bit more in the Cherokee line, especially if you're going to be using a lot more. It's going to be able to withstand, you know, the abuse of spearfishing consistently with it. So next you want to look at, you know, what species you're going to be targeting and where you're going to be diving. And what I mean where you're going to be diving is it going to be shallow water reef, mid-water, you know, deep water wrecks and reef, and then the species that you're targeting. Generally, if you're diving shallow water and targeting smaller fish, you know, snappers about this big, reef-sized fish, you'll be fine with a Yuma or a pneumatic of this size, or even a Cherokee EXO in a 60 to 90 centimeter range. What's nice about this gun is that it is upgradable to add a second band and a little bit bigger shaft to something down the road you do want a little bit more power. But for diving in that shallow water and targeting, you know, the reef species size fish, this size range is going to be a great option. You're going to be super maneuverable with it. You're going to be able to swing the gun around very quickly. The reason that's important, reef fish are usually pretty quick and you have to, you know, take advantage of the opportunities that you have. So this size range is going to be perfect for that. Going into bigger reef fish, you know, deeper diving where you might need to take a little bit longer shots and have a little bit more power at range. You know, I always recommend going with that 100 to like 120, 130 range. and going into a 2-band gun. 6.5, 7 mil shaft recommended, but something like this is really going to be able to tackle anything that you come across in the ocean other than big tuna. But that's a whole different ballgame. But this gun and the Cherokee Fast come rigged, ready to roll, and pretty much tackle anything out there, especially in those bigger species and deeper diving. The Power comes with two 16 mil bands and a heavy duty 7 mil shaft. And the Fast comes with two 14 mil bands and a 6.5 mil shaft. Now that doesn't mean you can't put the same bands and shaft on this gun as on the Power, but you have options. And the next thing you want to look at is, do you want a reel? Do you not need a reel? Are you going to use float line, or are you just going to straight rig it to the gun? And with a reel is a great tool to have. It's definitely something that you need to become comfortable with and be comfortable with diving and spearfishing first, I say, before you move into the reel. The reason is that with the reel, you are attached to the fish. So if that fish runs or there's a tie up or something, you would have to let go of the gun to be able to keep yourself safe, which isn't always the best option, especially when you've spent a good amount of money on it. So you can get a gun like the Cherokee Power that comes with a tuna clip or a long line clip, and you can clip this off to a float line that's attached to a float on the surface. So let's say you shoot a fish that's on the larger size and you need to make it back to the surface and you can't fight it and you can't pull it up. You just let go of the gun and you let the float line and float deal with that. What's nice about this gun is that it is easily upgradable to put a reel on it. Any of our Cressy reels will fit right there. And at that moment, when you're ready to have a reel, you can go ahead and do that. The Cherokee Fast is gonna come with a reel out of the box. So this is a great option as well, because even if you're not ready for a reel, you can take it off and still use it and get a long line clip or a tuna clip and put one on the back. And then you basically have the Power. And then once you're ready for the reel, you put the reel back on and then you're ready to go with that. So as you can see, we have a ton of different options here at Cressy to kind of cover everybody's diving needs. Sometimes it's not always about budget, it's just about what you like using. And some people are diving waters that only need this gun, and that's all they need. It's perfect for their fish, it's perfect for where they're diving. And then there's some people, like for example where I live, is you really need something like this because you never know what you're going to come across for diving in water that has high visibility, and we need to take long shots, and there's a chance that you can see a bigger fish at any moment. So you need to take into account how much you want to spend, how often you're going to be using that gun, because sometimes it is better to spend a little bit more money and get that higher quality gun if it's something you're going to be using a lot. It's going to last you a lot longer. And then where you're going to be diving, what species you're going to be targeting. So I hope this video helps you out in picking your, like I said, your first spear gun or your 10th or 15th or 20th. And yeah, stay safe out there.